Mm, 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 mm. Somebody said it was the killer coochie. Somebody said that's what it was. Ooh. Somebody said it was a killer coochie that gave that girl life in jail. No, she got 30 years in jail. Oh, but her boyfriend, he got life 'cause he thought Sherra would make him his wife. But he learned the hard way. He found what all the ones knew, that killer coochie will send you right to hell. That killer coochie done got your ass in jail. What a shame. What a shame. What a shame. Mm, 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 mm. And you know you won't be the first. You ain't the first, and you won't be the last guy that made a decision as serious as the one you made, unless somebody got killer coochie, to make you commit a murder. Oh, Lord. But that, to me, you guys, all jokes aside, that is the characteristic of a borderline relationship. Can't tell me she wasn't no borderline. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, family. Welcome to the Mental House with me, your host, Kadeem. Oh, Lord. Yes, yes, yes. Y'all just don't know how happy and proud I am of the Memphis Police Department, the gang unit, for busting this case wide open. It had been so long. And it wasn't that the case was cold. It's just that they were shuffling their feet like they usually do. And just think, he was a celebrity. So you can imagine what happens when it's just an average Joe Blow. Uh, Manpower is few, is it's far and few. Um, I'm surprised that the only reason I think it got as much care as it did is that he was Memphis's beloved son. And that a tiger. So I think that in itself made somebody in that department not give up and decided to move it around, because y'all know how they do, especially when it's African Americans. It's like another black on black on black on black. You know how they do. But anyway, um, Sherra, Sherra. It is almost impossible for me to sit here and really think about the things that happens when you in one of them kind of relationships with somebody that is just from day one fixed on you, from day one decide, no, I know he's gonna go pro and I'm gonna get my hooks in him. And one thing about a borderline, they learn at an early age how to manipulate themselves, manipulate sex, and then they are just pathological liars. So whenever you get close to their stories, just like the guy said, well, I thought she would be happy that we found some kind of breaks in the case, but she didn't seem to be happy at all. She didn't seem to be, and the reason she wasn't is because hell no, she didn't. It's like she didn't want her good thing to come to an end. That's why. Uh, there were several clues in my estimation. And the mama said, you know, go with his girl because she's too money hungry. She's so money hungry that she the first suspect. No, that's you should stop right there. I know she got something to do with it. And if he got a bullet hole to the face, a bullet wound to the face, mm, 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 she's responsible. And sure enough, there was a bullet wound to the man's face. Because most people know that have anybody that's close with them that's in law enforcement and shit, they tell you when it's a crime of passion, they always, do the person in the face because they want to smash your damn face in. They don't do the body, the torso or anything. They at your face. And they usually stab you in the face, shoot you in the face, those type of things. I think everybody needs a Deborah. I mean, his mom did not stop, and like she shouldn't. When you know your son has been murdered, when you know, and I just applaud and commend her courage, really, because that's got to be one of the most hardest things. In one sense, y'all would think it's easy, but it's not, because you expect your children to bury you. And when you got to bury them, and then especially under this type of circumstance, it's got to be a sad thing. I want y'all to hear this, though, because this is how Lorenzen's case got back on the radar. This is how it got back on the radar.
In one of Memphis's cold cases this week, it took years for police to solve the murder of Lorenzen Wright.
Now the last person charged with Wright's killing has been convicted, but the case may have never been cracked without the help of a special crime-fighting unit.
Today we sat down with the man who headed up that task force that put Lorenzen Wright's killing back on the radar. It was 2016 when the multi-agency gang unit started delving into the 2010 murder of basketball standout Lorenzen Wright. Retired Memphis Police Colonel Darren Goods was operations manager of the gang unit at the time.
It was a cold case, but it wasn't in the sense that there was no one working it. Information come in, those guys were acting on it, follow up on it.
But gang unit investigators told Goods they had new information. Someone close to Lorenzen may have been involved.
The intel that they had was pretty compelling. So then it became a situation where I went to then Director Armstrong and said, I think we may be able to do something with Lorenzen Wright case. I really feel that we can solve this case. And he was like, he gave us his blessings. Said, what did you need?
He says MGU had more time and more officers to devote to the case. They went over evidence and went back to tipster Jimmy Martin, Sherra Wright's cousin. Martin had already told officers in 2012 where to find the gun, but volunteer divers could never find it.
The key was the gun. We knew that if we found that gun, then that would corroborate what Jimmy Martin was telling us.
But the gang unit had access to an FBI expert dive team.
Hey, man, we've got one of the best dive search teams in the world. And it was, okay, we need them.
They found the gun, and that opened the floodgates.
When you're able to corroborate everything that he was saying, it becomes kind of really compelling and just kind of, the investigation kind of takes direction on its own. You just kind of follow it.
By 2017, they had enough to arrest Billy Turner and then Sherra Wright, taking their work public. During trial, Goods said he felt confident about what his team had done, but the guilty verdict brought it all to fruition. We showed him how Lorenzen Wright's mom summed it up. What would you say about how police and the prosecution handled this case?
Girl, that was off the chain. They were too good. They did their job. If I had some money to pay them, I'd pay them myself. They did good. They did what the A team did what they were supposed to do.
One thing I can say about Miss D, everybody needs Miss D in their corner.
Sure
the more time we spent with her, the harder these guys fought, the harder they worked.
In 2020, he is now working in the Office of Juvenile Justice at the Department of Children's Services.
It's very, 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 very important to have an advocate. And if it's your mama, you even more blessed. Because if she's a mama that led and leading in the right direction, she's going to advocate for her baby. And that's exactly what Deborah did. Miss Marion kept it 100, and she went at them in every lead she followed. She helped them unturn every stone. So I just think it was a great thing. It was actually great. But what I wanted to get back to was the guys that were involved with her. See, because that's what's deep. Billy Ray Turner thought that she was going to marry him. That's why he did that. And they said that he was slow. So she done took advantage of this slow dude. And then have her gangster cousin help them, get rid of it or get in on it with him, because she didn't figure, she knew she had old boy by the balls. So she get her gangster cousin, who already done murdered somebody, his girlfriend, who Lorenzen even paid for the attorney for. She got him to help her and her slow boyfriend help kill Lorenzen. Ren ain't had no business going through no craziness like that. That woman took him through hell and high water. I mean, hell and back. And I'm not saying he was an angel. But Lord, when you in love with somebody with a high conflict personality, you in trouble. She was sleeping with everybody, getting this man all upset. There's even rumors on the street that say that last baby that passed away may not have even been his, and that she might have did away with that baby because he wanted a DNA test. And that's the story. That's the story. That, the street talk, the street said that, and she probably told the man it was his baby, even if it wasn't, because if he was kind of slow already, and he was in love with Sherra, because she used to kill a coochie. Took total advantage of him. And that's why his mama's, Marion said, Miss Deborah said, I would tell him he's a big dummy. You thought she was gonna marry you. She didn't marry two guys in between you. And you should have played it out like she did. Yet now you gonna stay life in prison. And she done shot him too, and so did the other dude, and you the one stuck, end up holding the bag. Ain't that some shit? You ended up holding the bag. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Sad. What a dummy. And that's what Killer Coochie. Okay, y'all, let's listen to this.
Right, they do seem to be taking it in and understanding. And as I said, they have a copy in their hands of the actual report that the expert is going through. There's a lot of visual elements to the presentation, which helps it make it a little more understandable and easier to follow along with. And, I was taking some of the notes down of these cell phone records, which are limited because when they did go back to try to pull these cell phone records, they were only able to obtain about a month's worth of Billy Ray's cell phone records. They didn't get everything they wanted, like text messages and emails and things like that. It was just the voice calls. And if you go back and look at some of the voice calls between Billy Ray Turner and Sherra Wright between that month before and after this murder of Lorenzen Wright, 186 calls between the two of them. They also had voice calls between Billy Ray Turner and Jimmy Martin. There were 17 calls between those two. And then, of course, Sherra Wright and Jimmy Martin, 65 calls. So, again, this prosecution really wanted to use the cell phone data to show that this was a conspiracy, a relationship between these three people communicating a lot, and especially leading up to the murder, those hours and moments before he was shot, July.
And this what her kids got to deal with.
And that was during 1 month time, so it is a lot of communication, arguably. All right, Chandler, your interviews, tell me about the fact, as I understand it, you may have spoken to an ex-boyfriend of the ex-wife of the victim. Did I get that right?
You did get that right. I caught up with Kelvin Cowens. He was in a relationship with Sherra Wright starting in 2015. He actually interviewed her the way they met. He interviewed her for the 5th year anniversary of the murder of Lorenzen Wright. And he told me that during that interview with Sherra that they connected on more than just a professional level and began a relationship.
Yeah, she know how to get
She
them.
actually moved with him and her 6 children to Houston, Texas, where they lived for almost 3 years together in this relationship. So I wanted to catch up with him and gain some more insight as to the Sherra Wright that he knew. And he told me what it was like to find out later when
She
she was
got her butt beat in prison. She got a black eye.
He was able to kind of see maybe what he thought was grief wasn't grief. Let's take a listen.
Somebody beat her ass in prison.
First time in your years of knowing her that red flags went up?
Absolutely. You see, up until that point, it was like I thought I was looking at someone that was grieving. You know what I mean? And so I mistaken that for, what it really was, because, all of the crying at night, Sherra would often go in our master closet.
Well, at least she got remorse.
And cry herself to sleep. I'm talking to she'll go in there 10 o'clock
kids,
at night,
daddy,
stay there till 2 in the morning. I have to go get her sometimes and be like, come on to bed. So it's just weird that the tables turn and it's like, okay, I thought I was looking at grief, but this is guilt. You know what I mean? I didn't know that, so, but that was my first time to answer your question. That was my first time that the red flag went up. Like, we're all, they found the gun, we're finna find out. That wasn't her.
Oh my God. Y'all hear that? That's what he thought. He thought she'd be happy. He said he thought when the news was coming in, like they found the gun, and he would give her updates. She was fine until she found out that they found the gun. Cause see, it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. And above all, y'all, I'm not making light of this situation. I'm just glad that the people that are responsible are where they should be. But I feel so bad for those kids. And I'm sure they're young adults now, but the fact that the fucking mother killed their father? How do you reconcile with that? She's in jail, he dead. And these are my parents. I'm a sum of both of them. I'm a half and half of each one of these people. Oh my God. And to do that to those children.
They ended their relationship, which he said really stemmed from financial arguments and turmoil. He said that Sherra was almost obsessed over finances and wanting to purchase a lot of elaborate items and spending upwards of $15,000 for Christmas. And that just wasn't the lifestyle that they could afford or they were living. And that was really what caused them to part ways. But it wasn't long after they broke up, Ashley, that he says They announced that they discovered the murder weapon of Lorenzen Wright, and her reaction wasn't what he expected. Let's take a listen.
You know, even though we didn't make it as a couple, you know, from time to time we would talk or text. And so when they found the gun, I hit her up. You know, I text her. I'm like, yo, they found the gun that killed Lorenzen. You know, we're about to find out, you know, because it was one of those things where I wanted her to win. I wanted her to be vindicated. I wanted to find the killers. I'm a Memphis Tiger fan. We had Tigers before we had the Grizzlies. You know what I mean? So I'm a Lorenzen Wright fan, you know. And so I was excited because I'm like, I know that gun is going to lead us to the killers. And she just wasn't in that mood. She was just kind of like, well, I heard that it's not a gun. I heard that someone's lying. They're making up stories. And I'm like, that was the moment where I was like, this don't sound like the Sherra that I've been listening to for 2 years. Because we would often listen to the 911 call, you know, that court TV show. And we'd be trying to figure it out. It was always, can't wait to find out who did this to Lorenzen. It was always that. I mean, all of these speeches during Christmas, during Thanksgiving, I wasn't opposed to it, you know, and it's like, now that we got the gun, you're like, she just wasn't feeling it, and I was like, something's not right, you know what I mean?
It changed. It wasn't the reaction you expected.
No, I was excited. I expected her to be excited, you know.
Wouldn't
like
you?
I said, I had texted her and everything and hit her up, and I got the news before her because I was in Memphis and she's in California, and when she called me, she was so somber, and I was like, they found the gun. And I said, this works like this. You know, we got the gun. Police going to track down the bullet. They're going to, you know, the fingerprint up from the bullet and all that. I'm like, we're going to find out. And she just was just broken about it. And I was like, this is not right. Something is terribly wrong.
Oh, damn. You think?
And of course, the reaction that he observed from Sherra was reflected in the testimony yesterday of when the authorities wiretapped Sherra. She didn't seem happy. She was even suicidal when they announced that they had found the weapon that murdered her ex-husband. And of course, Kelvin, he goes on to talk about what he hopes to find out during this trial that he doesn't know, and that's whether or not Sherra was one of those with the weapon who actually shot and helped murder Lorenzen.
She absolutely did. She wanted to commit suicide, of course, because now she knows she's caught. Oh, my Lord, Sherra. Now, what got me, and this is what I want to make a comment about, and this is for all you dudes. I'm telling y'all, when y'all meet a girl, you know, some of y'all are so damaged by your mothers, okay? So, and I know what this feels like to the point where I understand that emotionally your mother may not have been able to meet your needs. So what happens is when you run into one of these high conflict personalities and they size you up and they realize that there's a lack of love in your life. They understand that all you got to do is hear, but I love you more than anybody else in the world. You my only. And what would I do? And see, your ego is searching for that. It's needing it. It's responding to that. And then when they're overly sexualized, and overly sexualizing the situation is that every time y'all have sex, y'all gonna get closer and closer and closer and closer. And this is what they bank on. And this is how she got Lorenzen in the first place. All those kids right in a row like that. Okay, she never wanted to better herself. She never wanted to go back to school, get an education, do anything that she could have possibly done now that she's got a husband that has made his way into the NBA. Oh, no. She wanted to just lay up and spend this man's money. And don't say our money, because then I'm going to get like Wish, because she wasn't running her ass up and down that court. She just wanted to sit back and spend money. And it's evident in her going through $1 million policy in 10 months. Hell, I'm mad at myself. Listen, not even a fraction of that. In 5 months, I'm angry. And, you know, so I don't understand this kind of mindset other than, She was on the wrong foot. And she was basically torturing that man with this relationship. How in the world would anybody in their right mind think he would kill her and then be responsible with all those kids? He got to take care of he got to take all those kids in. And he's still a young man. He still want to run the streets and do his thing that he was doing. Okay? So now he going to kill her and then be responsible like that. I don't believe it. No, I don't think so. You know how most men is. They make sure you with your mama. Okay? So this whole thing, and I know it just seems like for a minute I was obsessed with this because there was so little information coming out, and we waited so long knowing that they killed that man, knowing that he got such a raw deal. But at the end of the day, truth pressed to the earth will rise. That's an African proverb. Truth pressed to the earth will rise. Sherra, your plan did not work. And now you're going to have to deal with your kids on why and how you killed their father. Because like Deborah Marion said, some of them still ain't came across yet. Because they don't know how. But I'm going to tell you something. Y'all better get in line. You better get over there with your granny. Because no matter what you think, your granny loved y'all. But she loved y'all. She loved her son just like your mama should have loved y'all. And not kill y'all daddy. See? And don't get mad at her for defending and having those parties and stuff for her son. That's her son. That's how her mama, she was protecting her son. And his memories and his honor and his life. The same way your mama should have protected you, but she didn't have the guts to because she's too selfish. She's too selfish. She don't care nothing about y'all souls being in the middle of this madness. And y'all the sum of both parts. And y'all got to choose a side. How can you? You made up of both of them. This is such a sad dysfunction and madness that go on in the communities that is just so sick. And I'm hoping, and I'm not going to say it's absolutely, but it's probably the last story I'm going to do about Lorenzen. I finally can put a fork in this story. It's been a long time. And I've been just as anxious as y'all was about bringing her ass to justice. And so finally, we've gotten justice for Lorenzen. And hopefully the citizens of Memphis can sleep a little better. That they native sons, killers, no matter how close they were to him, did receive justice and get exactly what they deserve. Prison. I just wish that Jimmy dude could have got it too. Insane. With that being said, if you like what you hear, y'all, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in the next video.